There is no way to fully describe what you're going to hear today until you hear it. Like the inspiration, the motivation, the overcoming imposter syndrome, you name it. This woman, Barb Betts, is going to speak life into your soul. She's already spoken life into my soul, and I literally cannot wait for you to hear her. I'm going to tell you a little bit about her. She is a sought after keynote speaker. She's a seasoned real estate expert, a passionate educator, and the CEO of the Recollective, a thriving boutique brokerage in Southern California. So she's a seasoned business owner with over 20 years experience. She's mastered the ever-changing world of entrepreneurship and the art of running a thriving business. Through her signature program, Relationships Are Your Superpower. So good. Barb educates business professionals on the exact systems, processes, and knowledge necessary to grow their referrals and revenue by leveraging authentic relationships. She's going to talk to you about authenticity. She's going to talk to you about relationships. She is going to literally blow your mind. And I said literally twice because I said it before I read her bio, but that's how passionate I am about this. I cannot wait for you to hear from her. So Barb, thank you so much for being here.
Oh my gosh, Rachel, the pleasure is mine. You already have won over my heart and my mind. So I'm really excited to have this conversation with you today.
I want to start from the beginning because you have a powerful, powerful story to tell that really kind of lays the groundwork of where you are now and your success. So tell all of us, tell us.
I'll tell you all the goods. Okay. So, I have suffered and hid behind a secret for my entire adult life. So I started losing my hair at 18 years old. And over time, it just kept thinning. It kept kept having to cut it shorter. In my 30s, early 30s, I woke up one day and brushed my hair and had two 50-cent size alopecia spots on my head. I thought I was dying of cancer, right? If you don't know alopecia, it's not just like some hair fell out. It's like a baby's bottom appears on your head and you can't even go find the hair. Like I looked in my bed and my pillow and it's like, where'd this hair go? Right. I immediately went to my dermatologist and she said, listen, usually when I see something like this, there's an underlying autoimmune condition going on. And we should test you for all these things. They did. Fast forward, found out I have Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune disease of the thyroid, which causes hair loss, of course. She injected a bunch of steroids into my head to start to get the hair to grow back, and it did. But then over time, as my medical journey continued with a thyroid issue, my hair just continued to diffusely fall out everywhere, and my part kept widening. And I literally tried every single hair loss solution possible. I tried every product. I tried every shampoo, every conditioner, every oil, every serum. I tried even a very invasive procedure called PRP, which is where they, take your platelets and they inject them into your scalp using hundreds of tiny needles. It's one of the most painful things you will ever experience. And the reality is the hair would grow back and then it would fall out, and it would grow back and then it would fall out. And I finally went to a hair transplant surgeon and he read truth into me, the truth that I didn't want to hear, which was like, Barb, you have 3 strikes in the hair department. You have a thyroid problem, you have an autoimmune disease, and I have genetic hair loss. My father was bald at 25. And he's like, anyone who tells you that hair follows your mom is wrong. It can follow any parent. And more importantly, everyone's hair is pre-programmed to fall out at a certain time in their life. Yours is falling out in your 40s. And at that time, I was covering it up. I was hiding behind it. I was ashamed. I was embarrassed. I was going bald on the front of my head. And I was using a powder called Topic, which are little tiny hair fibers you squeeze until spray on top of your head and you hairspray them down, and it makes it look like you have a part line. So a lot of my friends didn't even know I had a problem. Clients didn't know I had a problem. And then I just kept cutting my hair shorter and shorter. And finally the writing was on the wall. And I thought, you know what? I'm 40. I was 42 at the time. I am too young to be bald. I don't want to be bald. Not that there's anything wrong with being bald. Lots of women rock being bald. I just didn't want to do that. And so I explored human hair alternatives, and I came across a company, Daniel Elaine, in Newport Beach. And I went in and had a consultation, and I thought I was going in for a topper. And a topper is when you clip in full length extensions on top of your head and it kind of sits on top of your bio hair. And I thought that's the solution, right? I can like baby step my way into this. And I went in, and I remember when Ashley walked into the room and she looked at me and she was like, I don't think you're a candidate for this because you don't have enough bio hair on top of your head to clip in the clips. Like they're going to pull on your hair. It's going to pull it out. It's going to be uncomfortable. And it's got to have something to anchor itself to. And I remember feeling completely defeated. She was like, I think you should try on a wig. And I was like, woman, you're insane. You have 3 heads right now. I have no idea the words that are coming out of your mouth, but I am not trying on a wig. I am 40 years old. I'm too young to wear wigs. There's a stigma behind wigs. Wigs look fake. I had all the excuses. And my 20-year-old daughter was sitting with me and she was like, Mom, do you know how many women wear full length extensions? She's like, you just need help in a different area. I think you should try on the wig. And my daughter's words changed my life forever. Because I did. I said, fine, whatever, I'll try it, but I'm not going to love it. Right. I was like, there's no way I'm doing this. And I put the wig on and I looked in the mirror. And for the first time in a really long time, I felt beautiful. And I bought the wig and I went home and I told my family, or I ordered the wig. I went home and I told my family, you know what? I'm going to be honest and transparent about this. I'm going to show up on social media and tell my truth. And I'm going to tell my story, and I'm not going to hide behind hair loss anymore, because if I'm having this problem, there's got to be other women out there who are hiding behind the same shame. And so I did. I came out of the closet. I came out publicly. I told my story. I showed my pictures without any powder in my hair so everyone could see how bad my hair really was. I showed a picture next to it with my beautiful new hair, and it has transformed my life. It has literally transformed my life and taught me so much. And now I am an ambassador for the hair company. I have 5 girls. They all have names, and I very proudly wear them and interchange them. I show up on social media with my hair on and without my hair on. And it literally has changed my life, completely changed my life.
Oh my goodness. I mean, what a journey. But I'm just sitting here thinking how, difficult that is to be that vulnerable publicly, because so many people, myself included, are so tempted to only show the perfect version of ourselves with no flaws. And it's so unrelatable. It's so not real. And so why do any of us fall into that trap? And I think that's why people are so drawn to you when you do show up with vulnerability and openness and honesty about your flaws.
Agreed.
I mean,
1,000% agree with you. And here's why you don't, right? I've gone through each one of these. It's really the big 4. It's fear, it's judgment, it's worry, and it's people pleasing. Right? Fear, false evidence appearing real. You're worrying about things. You're worrying about the judgment. You're worrying about what people are going to say about you. My mantra with that is, friends, people are going to talk about you, whether you like it or not. You might as well do you anyways. People are going to talk behind your back anyways. People are going to judge you no matter what. There is ugly people in this world. People pleasing. I was a professional people pleaser, always telling people what they want to hear. Right? And realizing that people pleasing is taking the joy out of me, and it is not a way I want to live my life. And so getting over those things is really, really, really hard. But once you realize that the more authentic you are, the more relatable you are, and humans want to do business with humans, and humans aren't perfect. And that is how my life is lived now, is I'm not perfect. I have flaws just like you. The only difference is I'm not afraid to be me anymore. And I'm not showing up as anybody else. I mean, technically I do, because I have 5 girls. Like today I'm wearing Brooklyn. Brooklyn's the OG. So that I do have a different personality with my hair in a fun way with my friends and people that know me closely. But at the end of the day, you're getting me 100% of me all the time now.
Wow. So okay, so you said fear, judgment. What were the other 2?
Fear, judgment, worry, which fear and worry can be, one and the same, and people pleasing.
People pleasing.
Which
Yep.
I had a degree in.
Oh yeah. No, I do too. And part of me wonders, like, I'm actually curious about this because I think that people pleasing is an epidemic.
Mhm.
Do you think that it's like generational or I grew up, I don't know, I wonder if it's, I don't think it's geographical because I'm in Texas and you're in California. And
California.
we're-
Mhm.
I think it really plagues everybody, but it is interesting. I kind of grew up in a house where everything appeared like everything was like we have to put on our best look, our best, the house is always clean, it's like everything's perfect. And I totally understand why. Like it wasn't ever like a detriment to me, but I do wonder if that sort of like southern perfection had an impact on myself today. Cause I do have a really hard time not and this is not like my mom. I have no mother issues. I have the most amazing mother. I have not, this is not me like thinking like I'm,
I love
whatever,
that. I
parental
love
issues or
that.
whatever. But I just do wonder if like it was kind of back then, you had to put on a more perfect front or people weren't quite as vulnerable back then. People
Yeah.
hid things a lot more back then. Like
Mhm.
people weren't as open in our parents' generation.
Agreed. I do think that, and I do think that some of it has to do with social media. Some of it has to do with just America's acceptance of people being different than each other. Because I think back when you and I grew up, there wasn't as much acceptance of diversity. And so I do think some of it's generational, but I know that even though we can say it's generational, my daughter's friends, although my daughter is pretty authentic and straightforward and does not care what people think about her, she still has feelings. We're all human. We all have feelings, but some of her friends still have very much people pleasing problems and
Yeah.
don't want to be honest and authentic with anybody. So I think it's a lot. I think it's a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I think it's something that you just have to grow through until you realize one day how cool it is to just be yourself.
Yeah. It is so cool. It is so cool to shed that fear of what people think. And I will say, duh, of course your daughter is like authentic and confident and whatever. And look at her mom, like you're literally like living proof. So I'm not at all surprised by that. And it really does encourage me and motivate me and inspire me to be that for my own children,
Yeah.
Barb, like for
Yeah.
real. I mean, that is a really big deal because more is caught than taught, man. And they're going to watch us and they are going to emulate what they see. And so
A
that's
1,000%. Yeah.
okay. So you had a severe example of not liking something about yourself and something that really you couldn't hide anymore.
No.
But other people, what if they have things about themselves that they don't like? I could list quite a few about myself. Like I mean, I'm a confident person, but like, we can all kind of pick ourselves apart and like fix the things that aren't perfect.
Mhm.
So what do you suggest people do to overcome those things?
It's a great question because I think so many people have the what ifs or the if only, right? Or excuses that they're making for in my business world for not wanting to ask for business, not go on the appointment, not show up on social media, not show up on video, like insert whatever. We know that if they did this in their business they would have a different result, but they're afraid to show up, they're afraid to do the thing. And so I always say and some people say that this is sounds egotistical and it sounds vanity based, but the truth is it doesn't even have to be a outwardly facing thing. It can also be things about you on the inside that you need to work on. And so I have a firm belief that if you don't like something about yourself, change it.
Mm,
I didn't know that going through this change was going to change my life. I had no idea when I did it. I didn't do it to have this transformation. But the transformation that's happened has been pretty amazing. And I have girlfriends who literally tell me that Barb 2.0 is so much cooler than Barb 1.0. I have people that tell me you're so much more confident now. Like
Yeah.
people state to me, you are so much more confident than you used to be. And the thing is, I didn't even realize I was unconfident before. And I also tell people, I didn't just put this hair on my head and become confident overnight. That is not reality. You don't just wake up one day and put on a new outfit and become a different person. What happened was putting the hair on my head caused me to let down my walls, to let down my guard, to just say, you know what? I am going to show up as me. And if you don't like it, we don't have to be friends or we don't have to do business together. And what I've learned is changing and evolving from version 1.0 and to 2.0 does not mean there has to be anything wrong with you. It can just mean that you are not happy and you want to make a change. And I promise you, when you do that, you're going to realize that that version 2.0 is so much cooler than your previous version, because so much happens not only on the outside and what people see, but so much happens on the inside too. And you feel better about you. And the better you feel about you, the better you're going to show up in the world.
Oh, God, so true. And it is that inner work that
Mhm.
is the difference maker.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm telling you that, and I've used this example a million times, but is there different size houses have never made me happy.
Yep.
Different size jeans have never made me happy. Different cars have never made me happy. Like
Yep.
none of those things. And you said, if only I wrote down, I was like taking notes and I said, if only I dot, 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 like
Mhm.
that lie that we tell ourselves that once I achieve this, I'm going to be so happy and fulfilled.
Yep.
Once I am fill in the blank, that is not what brings you happiness.
No.
Man, that is, oh, I
Well,
just
I mean,
love
I,
this so
I
much.
didn't say, well, once I get hair, I'll be more successful. Those words never came out of my mouth. The hair situation for me was, I don't want to be bald
Mm.
and I don't feel beautiful. So putting the hair on my head, I felt beautiful, but the confidence came from letting go of the fear, the worry, the judgment. I teach an acronym in my keynote, and I teach an acronym called FAKE. And if you want to show up more authentically, you want to show up as the real you, you have to stop being fake. And the FAKE stands for forget people pleasing, accept and acknowledge who you are, because you are unique and special because you are who you are and no one else is who you are. The K is kick comparison to the curb. I was a huge comparer. I would envy and look at my best friend who is 9 years older than me and has more hair. I can't even explain to you how much hair this woman has on her head. And I would sit back and think she's 9 years older than me and has 10 times the amount of hair I do. And then the E is eliminate exaggeration and stop showing up as someone you're not. I used to teach in business. I used to teach new business owners, fake it till you make it, right? Fake it till you make it. Like pretend you're someone you're not until you are. And now I realize how inauthentic that statement is. And so instead, I've transitioned it into act as if. Like if you're really trying to make change in your life and you're really trying to make change in your business, it's okay to start acting as if you're already the top producer, acting as if you're already the top salesperson. What would they do? What time would they get up? What type of activities are they doing? What choices are they making in their financial life? What kind of food are they eating? Are they exercising every morning? Like you want to be that next version of you, then pick someone that you admire, pick someone that's ahead of you and start acting as if you're already that person. And if you follow that fake formula, I promise you, you'll be blown away by the results. And you won't even know it's happening until it happens. And people are just compelled to work with you and be around you. And you're like, where'd all these cool people come from? Because that's what my life's like right now. It really is, all because I decided to stop being fake.
So I want you to describe for me real quick, because I'm sitting here, I'm like trying to picture you because you're really stunningly beautiful, and it's like I can't really, and you're so confident and you speak with such authority. So like I'm trying to picture you pre Barb Betts 2.0? Like, who was Barb Betts 1.0? What, just give me the descriptive words that the person listening right now is like, yeah, that's me. And I want to get to I want to get to my
Mhm.
2.0. What were
Mhm.
you like before?
I was ashamed.
Mm, mm,
I was always doubting myself. Huge self-doubt, huge imposter syndrome. Why me? I don't deserve this. I don't belong here. I would always downplay anything that someone said to me that was nice or complimentary. I would always have an excuse. You look great. Oh, well, these jeans are really old. Or I'm so proud of you. Or I can't believe, you got that. And I would make an excuse for why I got that instead of just saying thank you. Heck yes, I did that. I would always be like, I don't deserve this.
mm.
I was unhappy. Um, I would say I was sad and depressed a lot because I was constantly worrying. Um, and I just made a lot of excuses. A lot of excuses. I'm not this because of that. I can't do that because I'm not this. And now it's just like, I hate to say, but F it.
Mm,
I'm going to do me. And
mm.
yes, I can. And thank you. And, people tell me the funniest thing is random strangers. Oh my God, your hair is so beautiful. I just say thank you. I don't be like, well, I suffer from hair loss and then I had to go on this journey and then I got a wig and this is really fake hair and it's not real. I just say thank you. Just a simple thank you. You look beautiful today. Thank you.
So
I'm
I
so
want to
proud of
know.
you. I
Yeah.
am too. Like it just say thank you. Just be proud.
Okay. So all of this person that you described, I mean, I can see this person. I can picture this person.
Mhm.
What was this a long journey for you? Was it kind of like
Mhm.
an overnight, like you took off you showed the world
Good.
you, and then you became this? How long did this journey take? Like, what did you do specifically? Because people are like looking for, like, I want to know.
Yeah.
I mean, I get the fake thing, but like, what were the exact steps you took that made you Barb Betts 2.0?
So great question. The first thing I did was I got the support and love of my family and admitted to my family. And when I say my family, I mean my husband, my daughter, my son. I have a 26-year-old son, 22-year-old daughter, my husband, who I've been married to for 26 years. And I told my best friend. I admitted to all of them how ashamed and embarrassed I was about my hair
Mm.
and that I had made this decision and that I was going to come out publicly about it.
Was that
Because
hard?
it was hard with my daughter, no, because she was with me. With my husband, no. My son was the hardest because
Really?
yes, and here's why. Because my son at the time I did this was 24 and he was still playing professional baseball. He has since retired and has an exciting new career in baseball, but he was a professional baseball player. And we would obviously go to a ton of baseball games and we would go visit him when he lived all over the country playing minor league baseball. And I knew, okay, if I start wearing wigs, I don't know, I might show up with different hair on at different games. I might have a hat on with no hair if it's hot. Like, I don't want to embarrass my children.
Mm.
And I was really afraid of that. And so I felt like I needed their validation and support to make this huge change. And I mean, my son was like, F yeah, like, let's do it, mom.
Mm.
And he had said to, because, he was on the road at the time. And so he wasn't home a lot. And so he was like, has it gotten that bad? That's what he said. And I was like, oh my God, you have no idea. And I sent him a picture and he's like, oh my God, mom. And because he was only always around me with my powder in, some people around me didn't even know how bad it had gotten.
Mhm.
So getting support, especially if you're going to make a big change, was huge for me. So getting support, I would say, is number one. The second thing that I think made all the difference in the world was ripping the Band-Aid off and being very public about it. Because what that taught me and why it became, I think, a rapid change was that I was not prepared for the amount of love and support I would get as a result. I remember my post on Facebook, I think when I screenshot it, it had 673 comments. And those are comments.
Mm.
And my DMs were filled with people saying, oh my God, thank you. And admitting to me, I have an addiction problem. I have a gambling problem. I have an eating problem. I have a spending problem. I've never told my spouse, I know I have an addiction problem. I have an alcohol problem. Like friends of mine telling me their deep, dark secrets just because in one post, I admitted that I suffer from hair loss and here's me without hair and here's the new version of Barb and get used to this one because she's coming for you. I had no idea that that would happen. So I think it happened quickly. And the reason it happened quickly is I embraced it. The reason it happened quickly is I decided that, and I saw an immediate difference in how I felt. I saw an immediate difference in how I woke up every day. I saw an immediate difference of how I started showing up in the world. I started seeing a difference with my clients. Our clients would start to call my husband and be like, oh my God, I love everything Barb's doing. Like the fact that she's being so transparent, we know we can trust you guys. Like I realized there is a true key between authenticity and trust. And I also realized that there's a huge key between being authentic with yourself and having an authentic relationship with yourself. And the fact that if you don't have an authentic relationship with yourself, you cannot have an authentic relationship with anyone else. And I'm the relationship girl and I'm the referral girl. And what I realized was, oh my goodness, the happier you are with you, the better you are at what you do, the better you show up on appointments. And then the other secret part to this, it's not secret part to the story, but the other footnote to the story is kind of at the same time I decided I don't like my weight. I'm unhappy. So I lost 45 pounds. I put my health as a priority. All of this stemmed from ripping off that Band-Aid and just saying, I don't care anymore. I'm going to do me. And then I realized I can fix these things I don't like. And there's a really amazing result that happens. And it just becomes who you are. It truly becomes you. Do I still have feelings? Do I still have bad days? Do I still get my feelings hurt? Absolutely. I am so sensitive, right? But I get over things faster. I compartmentalize things better. I can see the good in any situation more different than I ever have before. So yeah, a lot of great things came from this dang hair on my head.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, okay, you were talking about showing up, act as if. I have all these notes, like act as if with like a lot of stars next to it, because I love that so much. But here's like a true concern of mine is you tell somebody act as if, and then they start showing up. And then what inevitably happens, and you and I both know this, you act as if, you start showing up as that person, and then you start to succeed. And then the good things start coming your way. And then you start questioning yourself. And imposter syndrome sets in.
Yep.
And so I know without a shadow of a doubt that imposter syndrome impacts every human on this planet I've ever talked to, ever. There's not a single person that it hasn't impacted. I was going to make a joke and say like other than myself. And that is such a lie. Like, because I was going to make a joke because it's such a lie, because I struggled with it so badly for so long. And I stayed so small because I was so convinced that it was luck and it was all the things. So if somebody starts acting as if, and that imposter syndrome sets in, give me tips. Like, what do you do?
For me, it's all about telling yourself a story. It's reframing the story you're telling yourself. I'm a huge Kendra Hall fan. If your fans and followers do not know about Kendra Hall, Kendra Hall is we are best friends. She just doesn't know it yet. We do talk on social media.
Oh my goodness, we are going to take the most fun girls trip, because when
let's go to New York City, best friends with her. Yeah, let's go find her. Let's find what flight she's on. Let's find where she's speaking. Like, I do know, I am confident if I ran into her, like we have a, social media relationship, but like that girl, she's my speaking idol. She is who I am emulating my speaking career after. I am acting as if So every time I think about a keynote speech, prepping, preparing, lead generating, whatever, I always think, what would Kendra do? Always. So when you talk about act as if, it's like you find that I still do this to this day, but back to imposter syndrome. Kendra Hall talks about the stories we tell ourselves. And all imposter syndrome is a story you're telling yourself, period. Because two things I think come out of this. One is when you are saying that you're not worthy of something, that I'm, who am I to think I can be a keynote speaker? Who am I to think I can be a top producer? Who am I to think I can sell $10 million homes when I've never sold anything over $800,000? My answer to that is, why not you? Give me a reason. And I have to ask myself that sometimes. Every day I question myself. Why not me? I journal it. Why not me? Why am I not worthy of doing the thing? Why am I not worthy of wearing the clothes? Why am I not worthy of having the car? Whatever you want in life. Because imposter syndrome, I can't drive the car because they'll think this of me. Why not? And then the other thing that really gives me grounding in all of this is that there is only one you, and that is what makes you uniquely you. And you are designed to be who you want to be. And so you have to shut down the imposter syndrome that's telling you can't do it. And I did go through a lot of this when I transitioned in my keynote speaking career, and I did transition out of the real estate space because I did think to myself, well, Kendra's already doing it. Insert whoever is already doing it. There's not a space for me. There's not room for me. And I have to realize that's just a story I'm telling myself. And I think we tell ourselves a story to keep our little girl feelings from getting hurt, to keep our little girl, dreams from getting crushed. And sometimes I think we say it because we don't know the path. We don't know how to get there. That's why you get help, right? So I think it's all about the story you tell yourself and realizing that there is only one you, and that is what makes you uniquely you. And we have to own that. We have to dig deep. And then we also have to give ourselves permission to fall back into it, because I am not perfect, and I still have bad days, and I still second guess myself, and I still judge myself. But I've learned, for me, it's love and support of people around you that you can message and say, hey, I'm having a bad day. I need you to pull me out of this. Some people, it's therapy. For me, it's journaling affirmations and writing affirmation statements. I write them in I am. So I want to write a book. I'm going to write a book. I've been talking about writing a book for way too long. So one of my affirmation statements is I am an author. That's acting as if. I'm not an author yet, but I'm going to be one. And instead of saying I will be an author, no, I am an author. And those types of things help me get through those days of when I say, who am I to think I'm going to be an author? There's a million authors out there. There's no room for me. Yes, there is. Yes, there is.
So good. So this is something, anytime I coach women, one of the biggest things that I hear is they're being held back by an invisible audience. Mm-hmm. And that invisible audience typically contains 1 to 5 people. Okay, that's not true. They think their invisible audience is huge. The people that are at the front of that invisible audience are the 1 to 5 people that they have fixated in their mind, that they are convinced is judging them at every single move that they make. Mm-hmm. And so I literally just talked to a woman the other day who has this unbelievable business, this unbelievable, all these things, truly unbelievable. And she said, well, there's these 2 women, and I'm just so afraid that if I show up on social media, I'm so nervous what they're going to think. And I was like, girl, you have got to be kidding me. So what do you say? Because I know what I say. What do you say about that fear of judgment and that fear of the 2 people from, sometimes it's high school. Mm-hmm. How far away, how far out of it are we? And yet, just because they follow you on Instagram or Facebook, you think that they're watching every move. What do you say about that? Fear?
I say 2 things. I love Mel Robbins' mantra of let them, right? Let them Like, if they're going to talk about you behind your back, they're going to talk about you whether you show up on social media or not. And I believe that wholeheartedly, is let them talk about you. Like, let them be them and you do you. And the second thing I say to that is, the reason they're watching you is because they're not doing what you're doing. The reason they're paying so much attention is because they don't have the confidence to do what you're doing.
I'm not on camera and I can't do a mic drop right now. I just did a pin drop. Holy smoking fire. They are watching you because they are not doing what you're doing.
Here's the thing.
Oh my gosh.
So many people say this, and it is so true. Anyone who is ahead of you, or who is you, who's doing cool things like you are, is never going to judge you. The only people that are going to judge you are the people that are behind you. And what I mean by behind you is talking behind your back. I don't mean your support system. If someone is going to judge you for what you're doing, they're jealous of what you're doing. They know they should be doing it and they're not. I side pivot, but hopefully this is helpful. I have so many acquaintances, because I would not call them friends, but they're people in my life that I see who will make comments like, oh my God, of course you're going to get your camera out. Oh my God, of course you're going to document. Oh my God, nobody really cares what you're having for lunch, Barb. Oh my God, of course you're going to put this on camera. And that stuff used to put me in a hole. And I used to pull back and I used to be like, oh yeah, posting too much today, or, oh yeah, can't do that. Oh yeah. And all of a sudden I realized, you know why they're saying that? Because they don't know how to do it themselves. They're saying that because they're jealous. Because everybody in my world who's doing it and doing it at a high level and doing social media at a high level, you would never say that to me. You would jump behind my camera. If we're walking through the airport together and I get out my camera to document something that happened on the flight, what would you do? You'd be like you would be all in my camera. The only people that are judging you for it are the ones who don't do it because they're behind you. They're not as far along as you are. And then I just go with let them, just let them. And this is probably the thing I have worked the hardest on, is understanding that not everyone understands your journey, and that's okay. Your journey is not for them. Now, I do say you do need an inner circle who can tell you the truth, who can tell you when you're a little off track or your blind spots. But those are only the people that love you at your core. And for me, it's like 2 or 3 best friends and my husband and my children. If I am being obnoxious, my children have the right to be like, Mom, you should not be putting that on camera, because I know they love me. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, you do have to have, because you can get off track. You absolutely can. Sometimes I'll film a story in the car and my husband will look at me and I'm like, I know I can't say that, can I? He's like, no, you shouldn't say that. Right? Like, you do have to have the people that you allow to call you out in life, but it should be, I'd say, no more than 5, because you can say you have a ton of good friends and everybody does, but you really probably have 1 or 2 that really have Rachel's best interests at heart at all times and really know who Rachel is, period.
Yeah. Yeah. So when people are running businesses and even just life, talk to me about, you've really mastered the art of authenticity, and so I think that developing authenticity is so important in business and in all of life. And so what would you say is the impact of authenticity in life and in business?
The authenticity of it in life. So life is when you figure out how to have an authentic relationship with yourself, when you're not afraid to let your guard down, you're not afraid to be transparent with people, you're not afraid to tell people the difficult things that they don't want to hear. Like in business, a lot of people that are business owners, right? We have to tell people things they don't want to hear. We have to disagree with our clients or we're not doing our job, right? As a fiduciary with my real estate license, I can't lie to my clients. I can't let them think that they don't have a problem that I know they have. I have to be honest and transparent. I used to sugarcoat it all the time. I used to tiptoe around it. And now I do it with candor and with care. So you have to learn that, right? You can't just be a, you know what, mean, we can be authentic in a bad way. So an authentic relationship with yourself, knowing who you are, knowing your values, all of that work has to be done inside. That's a really hard journey to go through, and everyone's going to figure it out in a different way. But what I can tell you is you can't have an authentic relationship with anyone else until you have one with yourself. And I definitely have learned that, because now my relationships, my friendships, my relationships with my agents that work in my brokerage, my relationships with colleagues across the United States, it's all changed. And it's changed because I am now showing up as who I am designed to be, nobody else. And what I've learned is that people are infected by it. People just want to be around you. People want to follow your journey. They want to see what you're doing every day on social media. They want to go through life with you. They want to do life alongside you. They want to do business with you. Because the one thing about authenticity is there has to be a basis of authenticity before trust can be developed, right? I am a huge proponent of trust is two different categories. Trust is not just doing what you say you're going to do, showing up on time. Trust is broken down into two categories. Trust is personal credibility and professional competence. So personal credibility, that's honesty, that's authenticity, that's showing up on time. And then obviously professional competence is you're actually good at what you do, because you can be half and not all, right? You can be a great person and not necessarily the best at your business. And so this journey to authentic relationships with other people, it all starts with yourself. And then it starts with really deepening, nurturing, and leveraging relationships and caring about people more than the transaction. And this has just propelled our business in directions, I never could have imagined. And it all came back to, I know I'm a broken record, but it all came back to believing in myself, being comfortable in my own skin, wearing the clothes, wearing the hair, not caring anymore what I post on social media and what someone thinks about it. It's changed my life. It literally has changed my life.
You said you're a broken record. I'm like, yeah, but I can attest to the same thing, to the exact same thing happening in my life. And the more comfortable I get in my own skin, and the more real and candid and confident I state things, better everything continues to get. It is actually this shocking principle in life. And I'm like, dadgummit, why did I wait so long to figure this out?
Oh, you and me both. I look back at my 30s and think I wasted so much time.
I mean, had I only in my 20s, like, oh my gosh, just the misery that I put myself through,
Yep.
And so I can truly attest to everything that you're saying. And it is such an inspiration and such a motivator for getting real and sharing the stuff that isn't perfect. It is just so empowering.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
I would add one thing to that. One pushback that I get, and I want to make this really clear, is when I say authenticity, when you said sharing everything, there's a balance. And I have friends tell me all the time, and hopefully, y'all will follow along and we'll be friends over on Instagram. But there's a difference between people tell me all the time, you share everything. I know everything about you. I'm like, no, I don't. No, I don't. I make you think I do. And this is where I always, especially when I'm talking to people about social media, I'm like, you know what? There's a huge difference between being private and being personal. And this is a mantra that comes from my dear friend, Chelsea Pites, who says, personal is taking a picture outside the restaurant before you go in on date night with your spouse, right? Or taking a picture of the menu. So I know you're on date night. I know you're with your spouse. I know you love this restaurant. Personal would be if I recorded the conversation at the table, or I get in the car and tell you everything we talked about at dinner. That doesn't belong on social media, right? That's personal, private.
But
yeah. Being personal is letting people have a glimpse into your life. And trust me, people think I share everything and I don't. And I love that because, again, let them. let them think I'm sharing everything,
Mm.
right? But I'm not. And so,
On one of your podcast episodes, you were talking about leveraging relationships face to face and how your brain doesn't really make the difference between an in-person or watching a video.
yep.
And it really struck me because I was thinking about how many times in your life have you felt deep in your soul that you know a movie star? Like I
1,000%.
know them. I
Yes.
I love them with my whole heart, right? Like I
Yeah.
really felt like
Kendra Hall and I are best friends. She just doesn't
oh,
know it yet.
right, right.
Yeah.
And so it's so interesting how people do make that leap that they know you. And I think that's such a beautiful way to say it. There is a difference between personal and private. And
Mhm.
I do the exact same thing, and I pour my heart and soul and serve my audience and serve my friends, like, on social media the best that I can. There is a large private portion of my life that nobody
Yep.
nobody on social media gets to see.
Yep.
And that is just an incredible way to say it. And I've never really made that distinction in
Mhm.
that way. I knew I was doing it, but I'd never heard it articulated. And that is powerful. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. It really, it can, social media is the biggest gift ever given, I think, to business owners and anyone who values relationships and all the things. Because I mentioned Chelsea, where she has the personal and private mantra. We're going to Nashville this week for an event, and we met on social media. We met on Snapchat.
Wow.
She lives in Phoenix, Arizona. I live in Southern California. We're both from the same industry, but we met on Snapchat. We started. I remember DMing her, and she answered, and I thought it was like the coolest thing in the world that this person that I had been following answered me and talked to me, and now we're some of the best friends. And it really is beautiful. And we do know the private things about each other's lives that's not shown up on social media. We do know those things about each other now. We do have permission to have that relationship, but it all started from that human to human contact via the screen.
Yeah.
And
And I have
it really is true.
so many of those same
Yeah.
same examples. And I think that people think, oh my gosh, I have to show my whole life if I want to be authentic and real. And you
No,
don't. You really don't.
absolutely
And
not.
yeah, you and I are both living examples of making true human connection on social
Yes.
media
Oh,
with people, but without revealing the nooks and crannies and the private parts of your life that you really want to keep private and
mhm.
cherish. My children, I don't share my kids on social
Good for
media.
you. Yeah.
Ever. Like it is very rare that you'll ever see a photo. And it's because I cherish that so much. And so I'm always thinking, I wonder if people think I'm not a good mom. I wonder if, when really that's
No.
like the driving force
Yeah.
behind my whole life. I don't really care because I know my heart. I know my life. But
Yeah. Do you
but it
follow
is
Jenna Kutcher and
I
how
do,
she's
of
just
course.
showing the backs of her kids now and made that decision publicly? And you know what? I totally honor her for it. You still know she has kids. You still know that I'm sure you talk about event, that you just got back from whatever practice, or I mean, there's ways, again, there's ways to give clues. There's ways
Mhm.
to drop little nuggets about what you're doing without telling everybody everything, because you shouldn't. You
Right.
should have a private life.
Yeah.
Like, you
Yes.
should have things that are only reserved for the
Yeah.
super close people in your life. But I could not agree with you on I mean, you and I are going to be best friends,
Mhm.
and we just met
Obviously.
on social media, right? I mean, we met through an introduction, but then we've deepened and learned about each other on social media, and now we're here, and now we're going to be fast friends. And that relationship is totally accelerated because of social media. Because if you're in Texas, I'm in California, there's no way we would get to know each other if it wasn't for social media at this deep level.
Right.
So,
Absolutely. No question. Well, I know that we could talk for 4.5 more hours without
yes.
break. We would have so much to talk about, but
Thank
I
you.
just cannot thank you enough for the just the gold mine that you poured into me, just me. And
Oh,
anybody who listens to this podcast is just going to be so blessed with all of this amazing information. So, if somebody wants to find you and they're like, I want to see Barb 2.0, how do people find you? Like, how do people get to you?
all the social channels, but Instagram's my favorite. So Barb Betts, super easy to find. I think I'm the only one out there. Instagram's my jam. I love sharing on stories. I love talking to people all day long. always in my DMs. I talk to more people in my DMs than I do via text, hands down. I'm also, of course, on LinkedIn and Facebook and share a lot of business stuff over on LinkedIn, but Instagram stories is kind of where you get to see the behind the scenes. It's where you get to see me with my hair on, with my hair off. I didn't even talk about my birthmark and that whole journey, but that came out of this authenticity too. So I definitely show the real raw me. And I have fun doing it, and I love talking to people. So I'd love to connect over there.
Well, I'm going to go to your Instagram right as soon as we finish so that I can go learn about your birthmark, because I don't know about this. So yeah. I'm going to go find out.
That's a whole nother podcast for a whole nother day, but that actually footnote, when I shared my hair journey and I told my best friend I was going to come out about my hair, she said, so if you're going to be authentic, you got to show the birthmark. And I was like, no. She's like, I think you do. And so she was right. I did. So I have a port wine stain birthmark all over the left side of my face.
Yeah. Hey, make people guess, Barb. Make
really
people guess, Barb. Don't give it all away.
There's a lot more to it. So go to Instagram.
Oh my gosh.
You can see all about it.
Wow. Well, I'm just so excited. Thank you so much for all of this wisdom, and I cannot wait to visit with you again.
Oh, me too. Thank you.